This one is my absolutely favorite topic, but it's just so hard to choose. You have no idea how many minutes I just stood looking there, which is where, and there, actually, there, which is the both places where I have my manga, and I was just like, what am I going to choose? Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Catarina and welcome to my channel. So obviously you already know we are in 7 days of top 7 week, and today is day 5, which means it is top 7 comics or manga, and for me this is the perfect topic because, as you probably noticed from the back, and maybe if you've seen a video that I done of my other manga shelf, which is here and you can see it, I love manga, and I have a lot of mangas, but I actually noticed that I have more unread mangas than read ones, because I was trying to do this top 7 mangas with only series that I read, and nope. So, without further ado, let's get into it, because I am really excited to show you my 7 choices for top manga, and I really wanted to know yours, and if you know any of the ones that I'm going to show to you, because that will be just amazing, and you could discuss with me down in the comments about it, because I don't have a lot of people to discuss manga with, so let's get into it. So, for number 7, it is actually something pretty rare, which is a manga duology, and that is Sickness Unto Death by Hikaru Asada and Takahiro Seguchi. And basically this is the story of this kid that is a college freshman and he's trying to be a psychotherapist. He's called Kazuma Futaba, and he responds to this call and he starts to just live in this mansion where this girl lives, I believe. Yeah, and people say that that place is haunted, but basically what you come to understand is that that girl has some sort of a disease that obviously is a metaphor for mental health, and he decides to try and help her because she is dying from her disease. And that's basically what the duology is all about, and I really loved it, also because I am a psychologist, I'm finishing my major, and this for me was a very important topic to search and to read about, and it actually brought me to tears a little bit, so it was just so beautiful and so inspiring. Obviously there are things that happen here that shouldn't happen in a normal psychologist-patient relationship, but let's put that aside for a moment and think that this is fiction and just enjoy the fact that this is such a beautiful manga. Then for number 6, I choose Helsing, and this is the Spanish edition. Helsing is by Kota Hirano, and it's one of the most known, I believe, mangas ever. So Helsing tells the story of Ceres Vittoria, and she is basically a normal girl, a police girl, I believe. Yeah, that basically gets caught in a situation with undead kind of zombies, and she has to be turned into a vampire to survive, and she's turned by Alucard, the main character, the vampire, that actually is employed by the Van Helsing organization in order to kill those undead zombies that are not fully pure vampires. So it's very action-packed, it's filled with guns and other killing material, and you have a vampire as your main character that actually kills other types of vampires, and you have this strange relationship between him and Ceres, and it's just really amazing. You get to meet the members of the Van Helsing organization that are all kick-ass people, and the lead of the Van Helsing organization is actually a girl named Integra Helsing, and she's just so kick-ass, and I love all of the characters, and these are actually only... You're going to watch me jump because I can't see the top of the shelf like this, but I believe 10 volumes, so yeah, you can get this, and I think the English edition is still published. I just got the Spanish one because at the time I didn't know that I could get the English one, so yay me! So for number 5, I have a very recent read, which is The God's Lie by Kaori Ozaki, and this is another thing that is pretty rare on manga, which is a manga standalone. And basically this is the story of these two children, one of them called Natsuro and the other Ryo. And basically what happens is that Natsuro decides to ditch summer camp, and he goes and lives with Ryo and her little brother inside of their house, and the story unfolds from there. And obviously trigger warnings for abusive relationships, trigger warnings for child abandonment and death and other sorts of unpleasantries. But it's a very beautiful manga. It's a manga that speaks to the heart. It's very simple. The art style is really simple, it's really beautiful, but the heart of the manga, the important thing, is the relationships that I built between people, the experience of the first love, the experience of friendship, of family, and what it means. And that's really perfect. I love this book, and I think that I talked about it in another video of this top 7, and I will probably talk about it in another video of this top 7, so go read it. What are you waiting for? Go read it. So for number 4, it is a manga that I've actually talked a lot about on my channel also, and that is Tokyo Ghoul by Sui Kishida. And basically, for those of you who don't know, Tokyo Ghoul tells the story of this man, Ken Kaneki, that actually is a high school student, and he loves to read, and he goes on a date with this girl, and she turns out to be a ghoul. And ghouls are basically monsters that disguise themselves as human, but they can only eat human flesh. And so she tries to murder him and eat him, but because something goes wrong, she ends up dying, and he has her organs transplanted into him, which means that he turns into a half-human, half-ghoul, and he has to learn to deal with both of the parts that compose him. And it's pretty awesome. It's a very dark and twisted story. It has some trigger warnings for gore, violence, and other unpleasant topics. But basically, it's about how two species can cooperate together, and how two types of, well, people in a way can cooperate together. And it's very difficult because we are normally used to see ourselves in the top of the food chain, but then something like this happens and we're not. And what we do, we wage war, which is what's going on currently in Tokyo Ghoul, is that ghouls are in war with humans, obviously, because we feel threatened by them. But the main purpose of this book is to show that it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to destroy everything that we don't know, and we can come to know some stuff. And that's basically it. I don't want to spoil a lot of this, that's why I'm doing like a forced synopsis of the thing, but that is pretty much it for this book. And I love this manga series. It's finished already. It has currently 14 volumes and it's already finished. Then it has 3 light novels, and now it's starting on a new series that has to do with the same thing but with another set of characters. So what are you waiting for? You can still get all of this in English and other languages, I believe. So go get this, because this is great. And if you don't want to read it, go watch the animation, because at least the first season, I believe it was great. The second one, I don't really know, but proceed to go. So for the third manga, I've got Elfen Lied by Lin Hokamoto. And this is the Spanish edition. I have all of the 12 volumes of Elfen Lied in the Spanish edition, and I don't know if you can get this in any other language. Probably you can get it on German, I believe, but I don't really know a lot about it. But I don't know if you can get it in English, so I'm sorry for that. But basically this is the story of this mutant girl called Lucy. And she basically is held captive at this facility, and she tries to escape. And she's a mutant because she has these invisible arms called vectors that have a number of qualities like super strength, super speed, and they are invisible. And they can pretty much gut you completely in just this movement. So it's a really dangerous thing, and she's being experimented on, but she tries and escapes. But while she's escaping, she gets shot in the head, and so she loses all of her memories of who she is and what she can do. And she's found by 2 teenagers that are cousins, and that they decide they are going to protect her because she's completely naked and she only knows how to say new, and she's like this innocent, childish thing that they decide to protect, and they don't know what they're getting into. And that's basically how the story develops. I really adore this, not only because it deals with amnesia and it's pretty cool plot movement, but also because it is pretty gory in a way, but a gory thing that makes actually absolutely sense, you know, in a way, because you have a back plot, you have a backstory, you have one of the saddest stories I have ever read in manga, so it would kind of make sense how things derailed completely out of this. And once again, you have all of the ethical things of hurting something that you don't understand to try and understand it, and how to deal with people that are different from you. And I think that this is very interesting. I think it also shows a little bit of how we relate to each other in a way, and it shows also a lot of abuse, sadly, but yeah, this is what we get. And I think it calls out to some problems that should be called out. And the set of characters is just amazing. Not only the main characters, but also the secondary characters. They're just amazingly awesome. So if you have the opportunity to get this and read it, it's only 12 volumes, and I hope that there exists in your language. Go read it, because it's amazing. Now for my number 2, obviously everyone knows this one, and that is Death Note by Tsugumi Hoba and Takeshi Obata. And I'm always amazed how these people have the same initials. It's just so freaking amazing. But anyway, if you don't know, Death Note tells the story of this dude called Light Yagami, and he's a high schooler, and basically he just ends up getting this Death Note, which is a Shinigami's, or a death god, notebook, and if you write somebody's name in that notebook, that person will die. So he decides to start cleansing the society as he thinks society should be. And that basically develops the question of, is he as evil as the people that he's trying to cleanse society of, because of what he's doing, what is ethical, what is right, what is wrong, and it's just pretty amazing. The edition is the Black Edition, and in the Black Edition you only have 6 volumes, which I do believe have 2 volumes inside, so 12 volumes in total for the normal edition, and I really adore this. This has a lot of morally gray things and questions. It is kind of a thriller-ish kind of manga, and I really adore this, and I think that if you like those types of things, you would enjoy this. And it's not overly gory, it's just, it doesn't have a lot of gore, so if you don't like it, you're pretty fine to read this. It's a little bit dark on the topics, but it's not very violent, so you can completely read this. And for my number 1, and those of you that know me well knew that this had to be number 1, and that is Higurashi no Nakokoru ni, or as it's unfortunately translated, Higurashi When They Cry, because when they cry, you know. I could talk about this, like, don't get me started on this shit, I could talk about this for ages. But, assuming that we have the correct translation, which is Igarashi When the Saccades Cry, or something like this, this is basically the story of this group of friends that is trapped in a time loop that they don't have conscience of. So what happens is they repeat the same summer over and over again, and each and every loop makes one of them go completely crazy and murder the entire group, or they start dying by themselves, or stuff like this. So what happens is that you have 3, I do believe, principal plot points that actually turn this craziness level higher than it could ever be. And what's interesting in this for me is that you have 26 books and a side book that you can read separately or start reading before reading this, and it makes sense. It does make sense, and in the end you do discover what is going on and who is behind all of this. It's actually very fantastic, but at the same time it deals with real mental issues, because each and every one of these friends doesn't go crazy by accident. They all suffer from some kind of mental disease or disorder, which can be like paranoia, which can be personality disorder, a lot of stuff like that, depression. And I do believe that it is interesting, at least for me, because I'm from psychology and I just love this kind of things, to understand how a little thing in your life can mean so much and just turn something so dark so suddenly. And obviously this is very gory and the consequences are really extreme and they are not supposed to, but obviously you have the back plot that someone is behind this and they are doing this on purpose. But obviously this doesn't happen in real life, but it could, and people can go crazy sometimes. People have mental disorders that you have to be attentive to those people, you have to be caring, they have to treat themselves, and it's something that I think it calls a lot of attention to those types of disorders that normally are treated in other ways in literature. And I think that this manga is really amazing. Our group of friends is one of those sorts of groups that you see that friendship perseveres until the end, and that's really important. They always try to help each other, no matter what the consequences might be to their own elf, and that's really important for me. So I could talk about manga every day, all day, but I can't. So I'm sorry if the synopses were a little bit rushed, but this is already with 15 minutes and I didn't want to, you know, film during a lot of time so that you could just see my choices. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave a like or a comment down below. And yeah, guys, happy readings to you all, and tell me what mangas were the best you read, or comics or something like that. I really wanted to know. Bye!